Everybody, my name is Miss Mackenzie, and thank you so much for joining Miss Greer and I today for our lesson on creating the now through collage. Now, some of you might be wondering what exactly that means. So, especially with what's going on today in the world with COVID-19, I think it's really important that we help to create artwork that displays what's going on and how it affects us personally. So today we're going to be making collage about that, where you're going to be finding your own images about how this pandemic makes you feel and how it affects you. Now to do that, we're going to be using newspapers, magazines, or printed out images, whichever you'd prefer, and any other decorations you'd like at the end, and I'll be explaining that later on. But I also want to talk a little bit about why this is important, this project, and the purpose it serves. So, throughout history, art has been a really important factor for showing major events in history. An example of that is actually one of the first pieces was the cave paintings. And some of you might have seen these in your classes, and some of you may not, and that's okay. But these cave paintings help to tell us what life was like back then, even though we weren't there to live it. It's really interesting to know how those major life events felt. And it's something that textbooks don't really get to show us or tell us unless we see a picture. And back then there may not have been cameras. So we have paintings to help tell us how it may have felt back then. And that's exactly what you're going to be doing today, is telling your viewer how it feels or what it looks like to live through COVID-19, the pandemic. I also want to talk a little bit about collage and where it started. So, collage was actually started by the most famous Pablo Picasso. And some of you may have heard of him. He is a famous Cubist artist. And he actually started the idea by adding a rag to one of his paintings. Now, this might seem kind of silly, but it sparked an idea. Now, this idea was taken up by Pablo Picasso's very good friend, George Braque. Now, what he did is he decided to take industrial paper, which is the same as what we're using today, which is newspapers and magazines and printed paper, whichever you prefer. And what he did is he pasted these images, or cut them out, pasted them to his drawing paper, and he created a work of art mixing drawing and this collage medium that is now used today too. And he started creating a lot of work using collage. So it's nice to see how you can incorporate drawing in with your collage, which is also an option for today if you'd like to do that. Now, there are a lot of options of how you can go about creating your collage and how COVID-19 affects you and what you may be looking forward to after this pandemic. Now I'm going to hand it off to Miss Greer, where she's going to help show you how to create your collage and some different ideas you may have to include in your collage.
Now that you've learned a little bit about the history of collage and how art is used in history to document events and different things throughout history, we're going to start the collage. So here, I've already cut out some images that I printed from my computer. So I just cut them out, and with this you can do lots of different things. In collages, you mix different ways of doing things. So I cut some with organic, curvy lines around the edges, and like this one too. And then with others, I did a little mix on this one where there's curvy lines and straight lines. and then some that just have straight, rigid lines. And some more curvy lines. I also cut things out of newspapers, so that's what those are from. Newspapers. And then I cut some words that I found out of newspapers. That's upside down. Too. So now we're gonna start by gluing these things on to our paper or cardboard, whatever you have at your house. So I'm gonna take an image that I cut out, and I'm going to take my glue. And when you do this, you're gonna want to not put too much glue, or else it'll be very messy and you don't need that much. So a good way to do this is by making squiggly lines or little dots and what we can call bunny hops. So what I do is I take the glue and you just do little dots, like bunny hops, along your paper. And you just do some of those to keep it down, but you don't want too much glue or else it'll take forever to dry and make a huge mess. So now that I have those little bunny hops, or you can do little squiggly lines as your bunny hops too. We're gonna put them on my paper. And these don't have to be, you can do them in all different directions. They can be straight up and down, they can overlap. And in collages, you can get a variety of different things, so you don't have to worry about everything being exactly the same. So I'm gonna glue this one down here, show you. So I glue this one down at the bottom of my paper. And then I'm gonna take another picture. Do my little bunny hops. And I'm gonna glue that down. I'm gonna overlap it on one of my pictures. And you don't have to overlap, and you can do whatever you want for that. See, then I glued another picture down. So the reason why I have these pictures, I was supposed to go on vacation to Disney, but that got messed up from COVID. So that's why that's one of my pictures. We can't be in large groups anymore. So that's something that you might miss. But I also have good things. So I've been taking photos a lot while we were in quarantine. So I have a picture of my camera. And you want to go along the outline of your picture, that way the edges stay down. And I'm going to put that down. And you can cover the whole entire paper with your images, or maybe only parts of your paper. Maybe you still want white space because you're going to add other things too. So I'm just going to keep gluing these pictures down. And I have some photos, like I said, that I printed off the computer. If you don't have that, that's okay. You can take photos from magazines, photos from newspapers. I don't get very magazines in my house, that's why I printed them off the computer. You don't even have to cut all of your edges. You could rip them like this. That's something you could do. Or like I said, cut curvy edges, straight edges. Those are all different things. And I'm gonna put this picture over like the majority of the main part of my thing. So I'm covering up a lot of my photo, and that's okay. You don't have to have all of it showing. So here's some of my photos, and I put the mask on top of them because quarantine is a big thing happening with COVID. That's been happening with our summer, cut school short, and so that's one of the things I have there. And then I cut out some clips from the newspaper to add to my collage. You could also write things on your collage by hand, which I can do as well. You don't have to cut them out from newspaper, but documenting what's happening, I wanted to use some newspaper clippings. So now I have those newspaper clippings down. And so this is what my collage looks like so far. And as you can see, we have some white space on the edges here. And maybe your white space is more than this, maybe there's less white space, and that's okay, whatever you have. But in the white space, you can draw images, just like how in Barak's painting that was shown before, and talking about the history, he had pencil drawing within his painting. So we could draw with pencils or markers or crayons, whatever you want to help tie in your collage together. So I wrote some words. For what I did, I repeated some of the words that were in my newspaper clippings, but you can write whatever you want, whatever your collage is about. And then I'm just gonna draw some stuff in the background. And like in the image shown by Barak, some of his stuff in the background were like geometric lines or curvy lines, different things like that. It doesn't have to be images that you draw. So I'm drawing some different lines in my background to help fill up that white space and tie the whole collage together. So this is what I have so far, and you're gonna finish the collage up with Miss Mackenzie.
Now that you guys have finished the surface of your collage, now it's time to add some more. So I'm going to show you how my collage turned out. So this is what it looks like. I chose to use a lot of positive words because right now I feel like there's a lot of negativity. So I used words like growth and restarting, fresh start, family, things like that are much more uplifting. I also decided to use pictures of things I like painting. This says paint away, and that's something I'm really looking forward to doing once quarantine is over. So anyway, it's time to add some more to the surface if you'd like to. And as you can see, I already started doing that. You can use whatever supplies you like. So I found some ribbon at home that seemed to work pretty well for me. And we can also use paints if you want. I chose not to this time, but they're a lot of fun. Just make sure that you're clean with it and you have an adult around to help you. I also wanted to think outside of the box, and I found a piece of fabric at home that kind of reminds me of my face mask that I wear to the grocery store or anywhere in public. And I also, since I included so many pictures of flowers on my collage, I decided to add some petals, rose petals, to my collage and some leaves from that rose. So what I did is I just glued it down the same way that Miss Greer showed you how to. So we just put a little dab of glue right on the petal, okay? Just a tiny bit, we don't need a lot. And then we press it to our collage, wherever you want to put your object, we just press it, okay? And now once that's done and dry, you can add some more. So what I did is I like to add some of this all over. So when I go to add it, I will be putting it here, here, anywhere you'd like. This is all up to you and what helps you describe what COVID-19 looks like to you and how it makes you feel.
Now that we have finished our collages, we have learned about the background of collage. We have learned about how art plays a role in telling history. we have learned about the different materials you can use to make a collage and how all those materials come together to make one unique piece of artwork, a collage. Thank you for making art with us today. Bye.